actually it can be structured to be what has to be schools. Because sometimes you have to speak to high school schools to make it different than
Well, I understand that, but if you start,
and that's actually in my information packet that is high school, it can be geared, that's the word I'm looking for. It can be geared toward high school students, especially seniors, juniors, seniors who are getting close to the age of being able to work. And the college students.
but, yeah, when I grew up, things were different because, children were helping their parents with whatever work they did. Now, and then as more and more people start working in the corporate world, you can't do that anymore. The work ethic is not being taught to children like it was when I was a kid.
There we go.
You're right.
We're not recording yet.
We are, we're live.
Oh,
I mean, we're not live, we're recording.
okay. Well, I was just gonna say in the background, I know this is gonna be on videotape or whatever, audio tape, that I am actually partnering with Girls Inc. this summer to do it for their girls. I'm already a volunteer. I've been volunteering with them since last year, and the coordinator, Tamika, over there, we talked the other day, last couple of weeks, and basically got an approval from her director that I can bring it in to Girls Inc. locally here, because that's a national organization, but locally here to test it out with the teenage girls for part of the Girls Inc. here.
Right. Yeah, good idea.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that, young man. Okay, we are going to continue on with the rest of our program. Up next, we have Mrs. Sherry Henry. She is the CEO and founder of Business Over Coffee International. And I am just so honored and so very pleased to know Sherry. Like she said when she introduced me, I think we're kindred spirits, definitely kindred spirits. It's a sisterhood that we share. Because I will never forget the very first time that I met with Sherry in her office. We were laughing and talking like we've known each other forever and a day. And it was weird, but yet a pleasant weird. It was an unexplainable weird. And I loved it. I just really loved it. And she is, I call her the big picture person. And she will take an idea and just I don't know. I don't know how she does it.
Run with
I
it.
have no words. Yes, I have no words. Run with it. And she will gather up the troops, and we all come together, and we put our input. And that's another thing that I love about her is that she's so sharing, so caring, and she wants to get everybody, bring everyone together.
There you go.
And I just love that about her. So I cannot say enough good things about Sherry. I am so proud to know her, so proud that she thought enough of me to allow me to be a part of her team. And to do what we're doing here at National College of Business and Technology within this campus is outstanding. To give our students the opportunity to not only participate in the internship program with Ms. Delmar Johnson, who facilitates it on behalf of the Digital College International, but just the opportunity as a whole to be around business owners such as yourself, who have given of your time and to come out today to support this effort, and also the business owners who support our internship program. So all of this came through the vision of Ms. Sherry Henry. So I applaud her, I thank her, and thank you so much for being my friend, Ms. Sherry Henry.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Professor Katrina. I was looking around to see who you were talking about there. Thank you. Well, I am going to speak today on the grassroots level of leadership effectiveness, because it's very important, as we are all leaders here in this room, that sometimes each one of us back up and reevaluate ourselves. And so let's look at this as a reevaluation process today to see if we are on track with leadership effectiveness skills. One of the things that I have learned in life is from birth, we follow the leader. We either follow our mother, our pastor, our Sunday school teacher, a mentor in our life. We must follow before we can lead. Even if it is innate within us to be a leader, we are a follower, even after you've become a leader, is very important. Sometimes we need to back up and see a mentor in somebody. I never want to stop learning, because if I see someone and they know more than I do, because I don't know it all, I'm constantly learning, then I want to get under that person and I want them to mentor me. Because even though I'm a leader, I can still be a follower of someone who is over me. So one thing to remember about a mentorship is that a mentor does not chase after you. You chase after the mentor. So if you're sitting there waiting on that mentor, that person that you admire, to call you, to check in on you, to see how you're doing, to make sure they give you the coaching skills and all the things that you're looking for, it's probably not going to happen. If you call the office and say, I would love to meet with you, I would love to have a consultation with you, see where I can get involved, see how I can learn, and so forth, then you're chasing after the mentor, okay? So that's very important. And I did not have overhead today because I really wanted you to soak it in and to take notes. I may use the whiteboard, which I almost said chalkboard and dated myself. But my former boss was one of my mentors, and I still call her. We all start somewhere. I started working at Walmart at the age of 15, and because of the leadership of my parents, my mother and my father both being strong leaders, I was able to rise to a leadership position at the age of 16, a 9-to-5 job, managing other people, which I would say the 40-year-olds were not real happy about. However, I had a mentor, the boss, that I looked to in that particular venue. The next season of my life was in banking, and at 19 years old, once again, I became a banking supervisor, on the way to promotion to branch manager over people who were in their 40s, and again, they weren't real happy about that. So one thing I would like to say, because I'm glad I'm 42 now. So you follow the leader to become, that's number one. And you know what, I could use maybe a Vanna White that could be up here and write these things down. Oh, Katrina, you're the perfect Vanna White. Thank you. Number one is follow the leader to become. What are you becoming? Well, we always reach toward the mark. We don't know where the mark is, so we always keep trying to get a little bit higher than where we are now. Never feel like you've made it, because there's always another step to where you can go. Number two, never stop learning. I touched on that a moment ago. I've learned today. I learned from Delmar Johnson. I learned from Katrina Singletary. And I'm sure I will learn even more as the day goes on. I just learned more about Tanita. I learned more about Richard Reed's business and what he does. And I'm getting to learn more every Monday about Linda Little, who's working with me, one of the interns. And so we can all learn from one another. So keep your mind open. It's very important to stay open-minded and then assess the situation. Number three, be a decision maker. That's one of the most important things of being a leader. Sometimes being a decision maker is difficult, because the decisions that you make can make or break you. It can make or break your business. And if you are a person that cares about people, it can make or break that person, the way that you handle that particular situation. So using wisdom, which you gain through years, which you, well, you could see beyond the color here, you'd know that I have a little white to show. But using wisdom in all that we do. And if we need input, and we all need someone that we can go to talk to. And I'm going to get into that point in a moment, because it's very important who you go to, okay? So just keep that in your mind. It's very important who you go to get advice on something that you need to handle, and make sure that you're thinking correctly. I've talked to my husband and to the advisor at VOCI, and I'll call and I'll say, listen, here's what's going on, here's the plan, here's what I think, I'm going to give you, here's the great side of things, here's what I see on this side, here's the difficult side of things that I see over here, and here's the two options I'm looking at. I'm leaning more toward this option, but I want to get your advice and your input now that you've heard everything that I've explained. And at that point, then I'm all ears to see, and a lot of times it'll be, well, you know what, I think your plan B is great, or I think plan A is better. So having a plan before you go to your advisor or your mentor is important, rather than going to them in a complaint mode, as Delmore Johnson said. Going to your boss, let's just say your boss, and having a plan. You know, here's a situation. Rather than using the word problem, I use the word situation. Here's the situation that I am encountering right now. Here's the plan that I've come up with. I have plan A and plan B. With you being my boss, I would like to get your feedback on how I plan to handle this. So that way, the boss sees you're taking control of the situation, but you're also making sure that you follow protocol.
Right.
So that's very important, okay? All right, so now, also one point to make on being a decision maker is to take credit when the decision is incorrect. So when you've made a decision that might not have been the best decision, take credit for that.
Right.
You know what? I take responsibility. I'm the one that made that decision, okay? And give credit when your decision was correct. So if I made the correct decision, then I would prefer to say, you know what? Professor Petrina and I discussed this. She and I agreed, and I appreciate her input on this because she helped me come up with this decision. So always be in the position to promote somebody else. Very important. That is if they deserve it. Not just because you're flattering them, but because they really did have a hand in making that decision. Okay? Number 4, embrace change. Everybody do this? Embrace change. Now, some people, a lot of people, most people are afraid of change. So remember, change can be good, and Delmar also touched on this. When your boss is getting ready to make a change, they may see what your attitude is about that. So instead of looking at this as change, you can look at it as evolving, that you are a person of evolution. You are constantly evolving into something more than what you are today. You will leave here a better person today than you were yesterday, a more informed person today than you were yesterday. So you are evolving, or the other word would be you are constantly changing, because one thing in life that is constant is change. So be progressive in your business owners. Be progressive in everything that you do. Make sure that you are on the cutting edge at every level that you possibly can be. Now, if you're working beneath a boss, then your boss is the one that's going to make those decisions. However, as an employee, so we're going to talk business owners versus employees. As an employee, you can still be a cutting edge employee. You can be above and beyond. You can make sure that you handle things as a leader. And your boss will see that leadership in you, and you will then get promoted, because I've lived it throughout my life. And that is only because I have been taught to follow mentors in my life. And that's so very important. Okay? Number 5, stay true to your value system. How many of you have a value system in here today? Everybody does. If we were to take a picture of everyone's value system, each one of them would look different, exactly as each of us look different. However, our value value system is what our foundation is built upon. So we must take a stand on what we believe. What do I believe as the founder and CEO of Business Over Coffee International? I believe that our business is based on integrity. Each of our founding members, our chapter leaders, our member liaisons, the honorary members, these people are based upon our value system of integrity, of character, of making sure that we do things the right way. Example, case in point. This seminar was how much for BOCI members? 25. How much for non-members? 35. How much for students? Free. Okay, how many students do we have in the room? 2. Which student paid this morning? Okay, all right, so here's what happened. This morning, Tanita, I keep wanting to say Tamika, that's why I paused. Because I have a very good friend named Nita, so it's association there. Okay, so Tanita paid $25 at the door. And in conversation just now, I found out that she's a student. I could have easily just overlooked that and taken the check, right? But I said to her, Tanita, Business Over Coffee International is built on integrity, and I'm giving you your money back because you are a student and you should not have had to pay for that. So that's just an example of operating in integrity, which is my value system. I grew up in a pastor's home. I grew up in, my father and mother are still married, and thank God. I mean, you know, there's so many people that aren't and have been down that road, including myself. I mean, I am married, by the way. I have a great husband. But what I'm saying is that they really instilled a lot of values in me that helped me get through those difficult times in life. And so draw from the people that have been influential in your life and base your value system upon that. One of the things that is important, I've heard people say, you know, I'm kind of middle of the road. Well, the bottom line is if you get in the middle of the road, you're going to get run over. So you must take a stand and either be on the right or the left and take a stand for what you believe as a leader. Number 6, talk to the solution maker. I touched on that a moment ago, so now I'm going to elaborate on that. What that means is the solution maker, with you being a business owner, you are the solution maker. So what do? Talk to yourself? Well, you can do that a little, write down some ideas of your plans and so forth. But you should have a mentor of some type, either an advisor, your spouse, your best friend, someone that has good business knowledge that you can trust, that you can call and know it will not go any further, that you are getting solutions. You're forming solutions for situations. Now, let's talk about if you are an employee, then your boss would be your solution maker, correct? So, if you have a problem with your boss, or you have a problem with the person next to you that you're working with, or you have a problem with a member in Business Over Coffee, okay? You go to the head of that company. You approach that person, you approach your boss and say, look, I need you to help me understand something. I'm struggling with this. Rather than running over to my coworker, okay, Tanita, and saying, Tanita, you know, I just can't believe the way. I mean, you know, I'm not even going to call her that. I'm going to call her Katrina because, look, she is just, she wants me doing so much, and I just don't have time to do all this stuff, right? Okay. Well, instead, you could go over here to Professor Katrina, and you could say, whenever you get a chance, I know you're very busy, I would like to meet with you if you don't mind. Sure. Not a problem. Okay. So I'll sit down with you, or you sit down with me, and you offer me a seat in your office. Professor Katrina, I want you to know that I highly respect and admire you. I am struggling with some things that I hope you'll take it in the spirit it is given. would like to be able to talk openly with you if it's okay. So, you know, I've got kids at home, I've got all of this stuff going on as you do, and I've got this whole stack of work here to do. And what I need from you is a solution, because I know that 5 of these things are top priority. And I've only gotten to 4 o'clock today because I have to pick up my child. So, out of these 5, I need you to help me determine which ones need to be done today because there's only so much time.
Not a problem at all, let's do it.
Okay? All right. So you see how that happened. She's the solution maker. So if I went over to Tanita and I said something, what did that solve? What did that create? Confusion, chaos, dissension, all of these things. So do you want to be known as a problem solver, or as a person that goes to the problem solver, or as a person that causes dissension, chaos, and or confusion? That's the decision to make. If you are to be a leader or continue in a leadership path, then you should be going to the solution maker. I spent a lot of time on that on purpose. And the way to remember that is to go to your upline. If you go to your downline, then it is considered gossip versus getting a solution to the situation. Number 7, and I'm going to move along quickly because we're going into our next session, and then lunch will be here. Number 7, lead by example. In your professionalism, make sure that you speak professionally. Make sure that you dress professionally, and everybody in here does. So this is tailor-made for business owners and or employees to take notes and or teach to other people. And I like this because excellence-driven expectations is what's going to raise other leaders up under you. So I would say that over time in my life, I have learned that things done on an excellent basis is a must-have. It is not an as needed. And so I operate from excellence-driven expectations. So the way that I do things, the Professional Boost program and the internship program and so forth, I like to lead by example, as so does Professor Petrina, as so does Delmar Johnson. These are the 3 women that I just mentioned that handle the internship program and the Professional Boost program, so that those individuals that are being risen up to become entrepreneurs, CEOs, professional movers and shakers, that they will see something in us that they want to follow. And so every day I pray that God will help me to be a better professional, so that the mirror image of all of us will be an example of leadership. One thing that I would like to write on the board, and thank you so much for writing for me. Okay, in order to have excellence, you must do what? Excel. So, excel means, can somebody tell me what excel means?
To go beyond.
Go beyond, to grow, to extend yourself. Outstanding. So let's move to number 8, and we are moving right into the next session here in just a couple minutes. Number 8, learn assertive communication. What is the difference between assertiveness and aggressiveness? Assertiveness would be to go to Delmar. Delmar, you know I trust you implicitly. And I heard something the other day, so I really would like to sit down with you and talk with you about it, because first of all, it's hard for me to believe that you would say it, and second of all, if you did, I'd like for you to help me understand it. That's assertiveness. Aggressiveness is Delmar. I heard that you said that I'm not an effective leader, and I'm highly upset. I'm extremely frustrated. And I really, you're a founding member, so I expected more from you than that. Okay? That's aggressiveness. That's attacking versus sitting down and finding a collaboration effort to work out the situation. Okay? Now, some good examples of assertiveness would be how, when, what, why, and where questions are good questions to ask because they're open-ended questions. Okay? Assertiveness also would be to say, Richard, you look like you're in deep thought. Okay? Usually, you are going to say, oh, not really, I was just kind of, thinking about lunch. Or you're going to say, you know what, I am, I've got so much on my mind. So what happens is, by the you look like, Linda, you look happy today. Usually you're going to say, I am happy. Or, well, I've had better days, but, so it's going to open up conversation because you're going to either correct me or you're going to agree with me. Somebody walks in and they have an attitude. How many of you know as leaders and as business owners that you cannot put your finger on an attitude? So if you say to somebody you've got an attitude, they can easily say, no, I don't. And you have no proof that they have an attitude. So a good way to approach that assertively would be, you look upset. You look frustrated. Now, they're probably going to open up and tell you what they're frustrated about or upset about. Okay? All right, let's go to number 9, and we only have 10 points. So number 9 is respond versus react. And one of the things that my father taught me when I was a young girl looking for a car is he said, sleep on it. Never do anything the same day that you found it. Or he would love to go shopping with me and my mother. I just have the greatest dad. And he would go shopping, and as a teenager, I would go to every store because he would say, don't settle for the first thing you find. So I would find this beautiful dress, right? And then I would go to every store in the mall, and I'd have them holding clothes all over the mall. And then I would go back to that first store most of the time and get that first dress. But it was because Dad said, don't settle for the first thing that you find, or sleep on it. So it's important to respond versus react. And I have found, even over the past year with VOCI, that if I take a few days to ponder something, to think about it, to get advice, to figure out how to move in wisdom, it's a lot more effective than if I react immediately to a certain thing that maybe I don't understand. And maybe I shoot out an email, or maybe I pick up the phone and call right at that moment, rather than taking time to sleep on it. Everybody say sleep on it.
Sleep on it.
Okay, and number 10 is know your strengths and limitations. We all have both. With your strengths, remember this, duplicate your strengths. How do you do that? There's 2 different ways. Number 1, Delmar Johnson and Katrina Singletary, professor, are both very strong leaders, okay? I saw that in them immediately. We immediately connected. We are team players. We are like this. So when we talk to one another, we have mutual respect for one another, okay? So their strengths are a duplication of my strengths. My strengths are a duplication of their strengths. Together, you put all 3 of us together, we can change the world, okay?
Yes, we can.
The second thing about knowing your strengths or duplicating your strengths is, like for instance, Beverly is with the Professional Boost Program. She's just getting started. We haven't really worked out all the details, but we are going to be working out details on that. Now, we'll talk about that program at a later date. However, I'm imparting my strength to you. So you, as me being the program director, me being the mentor, then it's impartation of my strength. And so therefore, you gain and learn knowledge, and you professional until a year from now you are released to go out and do your thing. Okay? All right? And then, last but not least, in number 10, it says, know your strengths and limitations. Delegate your limitations. All right? So, for instance, my limitations would be HR. I don't have a clue about that type of thing. Okay? So, who would I contact? I would contact Delmar and say, Delmar, I need your help. I don't know what to do here. Can you either tell me or let's work this out? And so, therefore, I delegate my limitations, which means I broaden my baseline. That is very important, to put a team of people together to help you build what you're doing. And Richard, I know you're in your office now, and you've talked with Delmar about HR and that type of thing. So I see you reaching out to build a team, and that's what a leader does. And the last thing I want to tell you on this particular session is the 3 C's, if you'll write these down, the 3 C's of leadership effectiveness. Number 1, commitment. When you commit to something, make sure that you are able to commit to it. Make sure that you keep your agreement. And if you are unable to keep your agreement, make sure that you communicate that, which is the number 2 C, communication. Communication is key as a leader. We must know how to communicate effectively, assertively. We must know how to communicate both on paper and in person. Eye contact is very important in communication. Rather than texting someone, you should pick up that phone and call that person unless you are in a situation you cannot call that person. Texting has become so popular, and it's a good thing, but it's not a good thing when you're dealing with your boss, when you're dealing with your mentor, and those type of people. You should be calling that person. If you cannot reach them, you leave a message. Then you text, and you make sure that you've covered your bases. Then you go to your email, and you make sure you send an email so that all bases are covered, and you know that you have covered all the bases of communication, all right? And number 3, this is the very last point, is character. 3 C's of leadership effectiveness. Your character is important. Your character is who you are as a person on the inside, your value system. How people see you. What you see is what they get. So if I see myself as a loser, I see myself as insignificant, I see myself as insecure, then that's what Linda's going to see when she looks at me. If I see myself as successful, I see myself as an entrepreneur, I see myself as learning, I see myself as moving forward at all times, that's what Linda is going to see. So it's very important that you project your character to other individuals. All right, I am going to wrap up on this session and get into our next one. We're going to take a brief moment to have Delmar come up and talk about social media, and then I'll open up for questions at the end of the next session. Thank you all.
That was great stuff, Sherry, on leadership effectiveness. I really enjoyed that. A lot of good points that all of us can learn from. Social media. Of course, Sherry's going to expand on that, but just to give you an idea of how social media even connected Sherry and I, she had talked about it earlier about how we actually met, and that's even before I made the decision to join BOCI at the time. We met at her grand opening of another business that she had the night before I actually looked on meetup.com. See, that's another social outlet, and that's really is nationwide. You can go on meetup.com and find within your own local community networking groups that you can join. So meetup.com, for those of you guys that want to know that. And I looked up because I was desperate to find a networking group that I could gel with. I knew exactly what I was looking for because I had some great ones in Raleigh, North Carolina. So I knew exactly what kind of networking group I was looking for. And some cities are not as good with that as others. And I waited for a while, and one night, the night before I met Sherry, I said, you know what, let me get on meetup.com and find out if there's another group that's been created, because I was actually thinking about creating the kind of meetup group I wanted to be with. I was actually contemplating of starting it myself. Sherry beat me to the punchline. Timing is everything, because Sherry was supposed to be the one to do it, not me. So I understand that. So I met her the very next day. I looked on meetup.com the night before, met her the following week. The following week we had a one-on-one at Dunkin' Donuts. That same week I think I became member number 9 and was offered as a founding member. Just that quick, you know. Social media can play a big part in your small business. I'm not a social media guru by any stretch of the imagination. I follow some on Facebook that are just, you know, they're just really rocking it out. And I try to learn from them as they put tips and stuff out on Facebook and Twitter and everything. But social media, through social media, I found my first paying client over a year ago. And she's still my client, and I'm still her, you know, her HR support for her business that is just, you know, going through the roof right now. And I found that through, I call it strategic stalking on Facebook. Okay, strategic stalking on Facebook. So just engaging with her. You know, I was intrigued about what she was doing as a young business owner and everything, and I just knew, just kind of following her for a couple months, I said, this young lady's going somewhere, and I need to try to get connected with her, but do it in the right way. You know, I'm not going after you just because it may look all great and wonderful on the outside. You know, it's what's going on the inside. But of course, you can't find that out until you begin to build a relationship and have conversations offline from the social media. So that's what we did in January of 2011. We actually had a phone conversation then, and it took off from there because we were able to connect verbally after we connected online. You know, so you have to know how to take the social media offline and build a relationship for it to eventually be a win-win for both of you all. So social media can play a real big part, especially when you just really kind of delve into it. You know, social media can be very scary for somebody that's not used to it. A couple of years ago, I didn't even know what social media was. Okay, I didn't know anything about Zuckerberg and Facebook. Okay, I didn't know anything about, did I know anything about Twitter? I think I tested the grounds of Twitter a few years ago, put it that way, but I really didn't know about it or what the power could be behind that when we use it correctly and not, you know, not just telling us when you went to lunch, you know, but what are you doing? What are you putting out to people that would serve them? What kind of advice are you giving? Are you, you know, finding different articles that could benefit somebody else, whether it benefits you or not? So those kind of things. So I'm definitely more involved in Facebook now, more involved with Twitter, and I try to keep my LinkedIn account updated, you know, because that's the professional side of you if you're still corporate or if you're doing your business on the side, as a lot of us do as solopreneurs. So LinkedIn is very important too to keep that updated. So I have those 3 things going on my end, and then you should also get involved with some social media forums. You know, you can join forums on Facebook, you can join forums on LinkedIn, and just start kind of plugging into some questions that go out there. Of course, you don't have to be there all day, every day, but just, you know, if you see some questions come in your inbox or whatever that you may want to address or kind of just offer your opinion, that puts you out there too. And the more you do that on a consistent basis, people may wind up following you on Twitter or looking you up on Facebook and say, you know, that was a great point you made there, Mark, you know, with HR Brain for Hire. That was a great point. I'm glad you chimed in, you know, keep chiming into our questions, you know, as you feel free to do so. So social media can be really beneficial for the business owner, and is one of the #1 ways to do marketing for free.
There you go.
Okay, and most of our budgets, when you start off as a solopreneur or maybe have a partner, whatever, your bank account really is, you know, not that padded, for lack of a better word, not that padded. So you have to think of creative ways to do it. They call it bootstrapping. That's the word I'm looking for. I knew I was going to find it as long as I kept talking. But bootstrapping is the way, and being that I'm a startup too, I'm bootstrapping all the way to the bank. When I'm able to bootstrapping is over. You know, here I am. So, but that has afforded me the opportunity to connect with some awesome women, in particular, men too, but just the women we seem to connect quicker. You know, so I'm not leaving you out, Richard. We just seem to connect quicker. That's all it is. And I've connected with some dynamic women, young women too, that are just really, you know, doing their own thing and being successful at it and using social media, you know, effectively and in the right way, and then also showing a part of themselves too, because everybody has a story behind themselves. So that's just my quick, you know, review of social media and how it has affected me. And then we're going to bring Sherry back up and talk to us a little bit further, because Sherry really has getting into the swing of social media and rocking out BOCI.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
you're welcome.
We do have 2 more sessions coming up after lunch. After this session will be lunch, and Sridhar Sankara will be with us after lunch for strategic technology and business modeling. He is fabulous, and I will introduce him at that time. And then following that will be Coach Robert Staub for the business coaching session. And after that, we will have a panel discussion for any questions you have for us to answer for you, and an exit survey for you to fill out. So, how many of you are enjoying this so far? How many of you are learning something?
Yes, most definitely.
No, I have. Okay, this session is social media marketing. In our social media world, Facebook launched as a college-based social community in February of 2004. We did not see it on the horizon until it launched as a public community in May of 2007. One of the articles said, Facebook launches Facebook platform. They are the anti-MySpace. How many of you remember MySpace? It's still out there. But MySpace was the craze at the time, and then Facebook came onto the scene. First, I want to talk about a couple things that have helped me build Business Over Coffee International. I built this business with the help, of course, great team players such as Professor Katrina, Coach Robert Staub, Delmar Johnson, and the list just goes on and on, Sridhar Sankara, and getting a great team base. But how did I get the word out? I did it through 2 words, social media. I did it with how much did I have to take out in a loan? $0. We started, and you've read the story in our brochure here, that we started in 2011, not even a year ago yet. We are in February. In April of 2011, BOC was not international at the time. It was a class, and it was about building your own Facebook business page. It was at Dunkin' Donuts. We had 8 people. Now, when you go to our site, businessovercoffee.biz, it's amazing to see what social media marketing has done to build this business, Business Over Coffee International, and now the nonprofit leg that we are launching, Professional Boost Program, bringing everyone together. Today, now remember, in May of 2007, we were just getting familiar, probably not even familiar, but we were hearing Facebook occasionally from really some of the younger people. I remember I was very active on MySpace, and I remember going to this girl that was in her late 20s and saying, "Look at my MySpace page," and she said, "Oh, I'm a Facebook person." I said, "Facebook?" That was the first time I'd ever heard of it, and that was around that time. Then, in 2012, right now, today, you can go to a share button, and you can share to well over 300 social communities. And that's not even tapping what's out there, but that's what's on that share button. Over 300 social communities, to name a few. There's two questions that I have to ask you, and you may even be asking yourself. Number one, when does social media become a burden? That's number one. Question number two, does social media really empower local communities? My answer would be yes, based upon my experience. I'm going to address the empowerment of social media based on the success of BOCI built on a social media platform. I have recommendations for you today of platforms that I've used. I'm not going to give them all to you because I've used many. But I am going to give you the select few that I would recommend that you start with. Number one is, of course, Facebook. Okay? Facebook has many different avenues that you can use versus the social one-on-one, my high school sweetheart, my high school best friend. Okay, that's a segment of Facebook. That you can turn Facebook into a major business marketing tool. I've done it. I speak from experience. How do you do that? Number one, you build a Facebook business page. Okay? That's the first thing. You may say, well, I'm not sure how to do that. We have Weave Your Own Web every second Thursday at Business Over Coffee International. It is virtual, it is live, it is also at our home office at Ridgeway Business Center. And we teach these type of things from ground up. Number two, build a Facebook business website. There is a difference. So when you have your Facebook business page, you can have a tab over here that says my website. You click on that and you actually have a mini website right there on your Facebook business page that tells about your business. Where can you build that? There's several places. My favorite place, and you can build this for free. Everything I'm talking about right now is free, okay? You can build it at Wix.com, W-I-X.com, which is a free Facebook profile, portfolio, and website builder. Next, you should join 5 Facebook groups. There's business pages, then there's groups. So find 5 Facebook groups that you can market your business to. So that doesn't necessarily mean, Beverly, that you're going to go find 5 jewelry groups. Because everybody on there is going to be selling jewelry, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to find maybe a jewelry group, and then you're going to find there's a group in Memphis called Small Business Memphis, which is a great group. There's, of course, Business Over Coffee group. There's a Sharing with Sherry group. Do we have a group? Do you all have a group with your businesses?
Not just yet.
Not yet. But that may be coming on the horizon. I see in your eyes. So, but finding a group that you can target and market your industry to. Now, it's important that in that group, let's say, for instance, I share with the Greater Memphis Chamber, which I'm an ambassador for, and I share one of our events. It's important that I go on there occasionally and see what's going on and comment and say, oh, that sounds like that was a great event. I wish I could have been there. Or I attended this event. It was great, talking about something they're doing. So it's important to interact and not just advertise, promote yourself. You must do that, but you must do it with a balance. And we'll get into that in a moment.
I just wanted to point out that just my
Yes.
Nashville, just my Atlanta, just my
Yes.
you know, our groups out there that, you know, we are a part of.
That's right.
Like those pages.
And those pages are actually business pages.
Right.
And you like them, okay? There is a difference though, and that's a very good point, so thank you for bringing that up. There is a difference between a business page and a group. So join 5 groups. Now on a group you don't like, you have to either request to join or you join. It depends on how they have it set up, okay? So you can go in and search out on the Facebook search bar, business group, Memphis, and see what comes up. And then you can go down through and join, okay? All right, so 5 groups on Facebook. Now, LinkedIn would be your next platform. So you have your number 1 platform is Facebook. Of course, without saying, Business Over Coffee International would be a platform which we'll get into in a moment. But your second platform would be LinkedIn, and as Delmar Johnson said, LinkedIn is a professional group, and you'll find a lot of, Richard, I think LinkedIn, you're probably on there, aren't you? Yes, it's a great outlet for people who are in great professions like you, financial professions, and so forth. The same thing applies with a LinkedIn group. You should set up a LinkedIn group for your business, number 1, and it's easily done. It's free. Number 2, you should join 5 groups on LinkedIn. There is a Business Over Coffee group. There's a Ridgeway Business Center group. There's a Greater Memphis Chamber group. There's a Memphis Business Alliance group. I don't believe Nava's on there because I've looked for them, but I'm a part of at least those 4. Okay? Now, the third platform, and I'm moving quickly because we are almost out of time, is Twitter. Now you may say, I am not going to Twitter. I don't want to be bothered with it. I don't want to use my phone for that. You do not have to. I never pick up my phone and Twitter. What I use Twitter for is to, number 1, get followers. Number 2, for the retweets, because when I tweet something over there, it could be retweeted. And number 3, the @mentions button. What is that? Does anybody know?
Which button was that, Sharon?
@mentions. @mentions, like someone mentions you. Okay, when you click on that, you can see what everybody is saying about you. What they're saying about Singletary Investment Consultants. Is it great? Or Singletary Investment Consultants, I'm not real happy with. You're going to get the good and the bad. And so what you do is it gives you a chance to rebuttal. Okay? Or it gives you a chance to contact that person that said you're great. So it's a great tool for that. Now, Twitter, setting up Twitter, you can customize it and so forth. When you tweet, it's 140 characters or less. Now, who wants to sit there and Reverend Most just came in, who is my father. Good to see you, Dad. So it is, who wants to sit there and count 140 characters? I know I don't. Some people are really into Twitter. I'm not. But let me tell you how I've used it to my advantage. I set it up, and every time I share something, if it's the radio broadcast, if it's an event on BOCI, if it's any of those things, there is a share button. There is a Twitter button. I click it. And so I'm probably sharing at least 3 or 4 times a day over to Twitter. If I read an article about finances, I think it's great and I want to share it with everybody. There's a share button, and you can say Twitter, and it goes straight to your Twitter. You never have to do anything more than that. Okay? All right?
I have a question.
Yes.
If I could.
Uh-huh.
I'm not real familiar with that. I'm not used Twitter.
Okay.
But in the training at corporate offices, they were showing Twitter. And just in the time you've done those presentations, 200 or 300 of them have gone through this. How do you really use that? How effective is that really when if the business is successful? People can't read fast enough to come in and go and
Right. You know, there's a lot of people, see, I really don't go to Twitter and read. I do go over there and check out my @mentions. So it depends on what kind of person you are, and you're probably not a Twitter person and I'm not either. However, there are people that would live and die by it. So they're seeing, they're watching, and they're seeing, and they're retweeting what you put out there, which means they're sharing it with their followers and so forth. Am I answering their question?
Well, sort of. It's like, how do they even pick out what you get on there? You've got hundreds of things coming in a day.
Well, it's like, it's your homepage, like on Facebook or on LinkedIn, of course, you can see what's going on with the people that you're following. And the same thing applies, with them. So when you tweet, if they are following you, and that's the key, is getting share quite a few things online. And also, another way to get people to follow you is to follow them. So you definitely need to follow some people so that it will start to pick up. So, we can answer more questions on that later if you have more. Because it is 12 o'clock, so I'm gonna move very quickly. Now, let's go to BOCI, and I'm just briefly going to mention this as a major platform that, we should all be using. And I know that, Lanita told me that she's having some difficulties, so we're gonna look at that a little bit later. But we do have a social community where you can socialize online with our platform. You can also integrate it to Twitter and to Facebook, so that everything that you share on there, from your pictures to your videos to your blogs to your status updates, will go to Facebook and Twitter, okay? And in addition to that, there are 135 apps, including MailChimp, which is a free newsletter platform that you can use, that you can integrate into our system. We're also working on, which should be rolled out at the next Click and Connect on March 15th, we are working on an e-store that you will actually be able to integrate into your page with your products. So that's going to be exciting. All right, and just a couple more that I will mention, but I won't get into as far as platforms. One is YouTube is a really good one for any videos that you have, and also Google +1 is definitely on the rise. Choose, out of those that I've mentioned, choose 3 to 5 social media platforms that you will use. Anything over that, something's going to get left out. The ones that I use are Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Definitely those, to me, are a must. BOCI, YouTube, and Google +1. Those are the 5 that I use the most. I have a few on the side that I use, such as the radio and the Ustream and things like that, but that's a total different class, all right? Okay, now, when does social media become a burden? And I know there's going to be quite a few questions here about social media, so I'm going quick, and then we can focus on lunch, and I can even take questions over lunch if anyone wants to ask them. When does social media become a burden? When you don't have the time to do it, because guess what? It's free, but your investment is what?
Time.
Your time. Okay, so because you are investing your time, that means something else is going undone. So it's very important to have your time management systems in place. I'm going to give you 2 options for time management systems that will be lifesavers for you. And a lot of you have heard my favorite one, and that is Hootsuite. And it's spelled HOOTSUITE. Hootsuite. It's one word, .com. You go in there, and within 5 minutes, you can have your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Twitter. You can have your WordPress, which is another social media blogging system. You can have all of your groups, your LinkedIn groups, your Facebook groups, your Facebook pages, your LinkedIn page. All of these things on one platform. And guess what that means? That means that on Monday morning, if you want to take an hour and you want to set up status updates to go out twice a day, Monday through Friday, or for 7 days a week, you can do that, and you can schedule those times. And that way, you never have to look at it again, other than just to kind of glance at the homepage and like something here or whatever. But your status updates are going out while you're going out to lunch with a client. You've got status updates going out talking about your business and or personalizing yourself, which we'll get into. Okay? That is a free platform. All right? The next one that I just found that I love, it is a Facebook application, and it is called Recommendly. Now, it's recommend.ly. Recommend.ly. And so you would look that up under Facebook, under the search bar, recommend.ly, and you would set that up for your business. And what it does is it asks you of the three industries that are in competition against you. Now, I like to use the word collaboration, but when you're setting this up, you need to think, okay, who are the people that I would like to see what they're doing? So you put those 3 URLs in, post it and recommend exactly what you need to post. You need to post a picture today, and you need to post a status update today. And it tells you, it gives you the button right there, and you can just go in and do it right then, and it's done. And it actually schedules it. It'll say, this needs to happen at 3 o'clock today, and it goes out. This is a free platform. You get an email every morning telling you what to do. So, I love that.
And where is it found at again, Chair?
On Facebook, if you go up to it's an application, so go up to the search bar and look up recommend.lee.
And also, Sherry, you said
Yes.
three competitors, URLs that, you know, it compares against yours.
Absolutely.
It shows you what you need is the business.
It does.
Okay.
It does, which is a really neat concept, and I believe they're pretty new. So, okay, schedule your time daily or weekly. So make sure that you say, okay, I need to do 30 minutes in the morning for scheduling my status updates, or I need to do 10 minutes a day, or I need to do an hour on Mondays and not worry about it again. Just have a system that works for you. And I've only got a couple more points, and then we are going to lunch. We're about 5 minutes over here. Social media matters. The face of the new millennium. What is social media? I like to sum it up in one phrase. 2 words. Snowball effect. That's what social media does. When I send Professor Katrina Grassroots Business Seminar, it goes to her 4,000 friends. It's on her homepage. She then shares it. They then share it. Now you're up to 8,000 people. They then share it. You know, and so I mean it's constant. It's constant overlapping. That's why you need to be a part of so many groups and shoot it out on Hootsuite so that it all goes out in one status update, and you've hit about, well, if you have 5 and 5, you've hit about 12 or 13 different social media platforms within 1 minute of a status update that will touch several hundred and thousands of people. Okay? All right? And everybody say the key word, it is free. All right. Social media manners, and this wraps it up. Mind your manners. How many people were told by your mother to mind your manners? I know I was. So, mind your manners on social media as well. And also, remember that other people may not be minding theirs. So, set your privacy settings very high. You can actually set the profanity to strong, to where strong profanity will be blocked from your Facebook page and so forth. Each of these platforms has privacy settings. You need to go into your privacy settings, and you need to make sure all of your settings are set up professionally, okay? Because remember, you're no longer acting as an individual, you're acting as a professional. So when you mind your matters, that means that you like things. When you go down through your home page and take 5 minutes a day, scan down through there, and see that Beverly created a new piece of jewelry. Oh, that's beautiful, I'm gonna like that. So you like that, right? And then you say, oh, I wanna share that for her. So you share it, and now it goes to all of your people. And what I like to use, the phrase I like to use for social media is the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So if you would like for someone to share the things that you are doing out there, then share the things that they are doing out there. Okay? Comment when you feel it is, even if it's something like, Linda says, I'm going to work today, headed out, talk soon, or whatever. And I comment and say, Linda, I hope you have a great day at work. I'll be thinking about you. Okay? I just took a moment just to reach out and personalize myself and build that relationship that Delmar was talking about. Okay, so I just talked about that comment. I just said personalize yourself. That's another point. It's very important. Also sharing things like, for instance, have a happy Monday, or I had a great weekend with my family. So interact your business postings with your personal postings, but keep them professional. Everybody say professional.
Professional.
Promote your business. That's only after you've done all these other things, because people do not want to think that you are the telemarketer on the other end of the line, okay? And last but not least, Conduct yourself as a professional because guess what? You are a walking logo. Okay? Any of these social media marketing platforms all offer advertisement opportunities for your business, including VOCI. We have several advertising opportunities that run as low as $25 a month, or even commercials for radio and for VOC TV that run as low as $10 a week. So if you are interested in doing anything like that to try to promote your business online, I'd be happy to talk with you. So we are going to break for lunch, and I'm going to take any questions you have here in just a few minutes before we get into our next session. So hold your questions.